Everybody, we all know Kyle Starks. Do we all know his works on I Hate This Place or Sex Castle or Rock Candy Mountain? If you don't, you should check them out. Sleeper. Merrimack. All of those. So, sir, so wonderful to have you here. Let's get started.
Let's do it.
All right. Where are you from?
I'm from Indiana.
I knew that.
Yes.
Your story of getting into comics is kind of cool because you worked in not a comic shop, but like a place where you were just accessible to comics.
Yeah, I worked when I was a teen, at 14, by the way, I'm not bragging. I worked at a comic shop that was also a used music and bookstore, that was a video rental store, that sold baseball cards and pornography.
14.
At 14. At 14, and I'll tell you, so when we bought our comics there, hey guys, let's tangent. This is where we'd go get our comics from, right? Every week my mommy and daddy would take me to get my comics. And when I started working there, the owner was walking me around. As you can imagine, this was not a clean store. Used books, used records, it's dirty. And as we're walking around, I'm 14, and he's like, there's like a dead roach. And he's like, if you see any of those, just throw them away unless it's still burning, then tell me. And I'm 14, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means. And then like a year later, I was like, oh, I get it now. He's talking about drugs.
Sweet.
I was doing drugs at 15, I'm not bragging.
Any personal choice favorites?
We're not getting into that.
Okay, good.
That's a different panel. Comic book demons.
While I was getting ready for this, the Jerry collecting. By the way, he did Rick and Morty for 48 issues. I don't know if you all know that.
For 5 years. Woo! I was the Rick and Morty comic book franchise. That's fast.
Like being the mastermind. Like, how much of Rick and Morty were you a fan before you even started?
Let's tell another story.
All right.
I love Dan Harmon. I love Dan Harmon on the Ben Stiller Show. I love Dan Harmon on Community. When he got kicked off, and we don't need to talk about that. When he got kicked off, he did this cartoon for Adult Swim. And I remember singing it going, that's an ugly looking cartoon. That does not look great. And so it came out, I didn't watch it, but they put season 1 after it was finished on Adult Swim. You could go to the website and watch them. And I was like, I don't have anything better to do. I smoke cigarettes then, I don't do anything now. Clean living, people, just water and holding pee in. Those are my 2 vices. But I smoked then, and I was like, I'll watch one. I'll go have a cigarette, I'll watch one. And I watched I smoked a pack of cigarettes, and I watched entire season 1. And I was like, Jesus, like Dan Harmon's good.
Yeah.
And so what happened after that is I just did a book called Sex Castle, which was my first book. It was Eisner nominated for Best Humor Publication. I'm not bragging.
Hilarious.
And it was my first book.
Great premise.
If you do something funny, everyone who has something that even they think is funny will ask you to do that. So, Oni Press, who owns Rick and Morty, asked me to do Invader Zim. That's a twist, guys. I got you. And so I did 1 issue of Invader Zim. I didn't know anything about Invader Zim because when that movie was coming out, I was in college, and that's right, I was selling drugs in college and not watching cartoons. So
we're all adults here.
So I never. Wait, are we? Okay.
I think so.
Are we hiding any children? Against the law, by the way. Don't just hide children. So I'd never seen it. I did 1 issue. It's fine. And I told my wife, I was like, man, I wish they would ask me. They did 2 issues of Rick and Morty were out at that time, or 3. It's like, I wish they would ask me to do Rick and Morty because I really like that show. And no one was watching Rick and Morty, guys.
That was back before the.
This was a long time. This is part of the story. Don't jump on my story. Let me roll it out. So they did ask me like 2 weeks later to do 5 issues of Rick and Morty, and I was like, I would love to because I like the show a lot. I think season 2. I don't know if you guys remember in the before days, it took about 18 years between each season for them to come out. So season 2 either had just wrapped up or was very close. I can't recall. But there was a few people. I'll tell you how few people were watching Rick and Morty. My 5th issue, I think that's right, my 5th issue, which would have been my last one, we'll come back, we'll circle around. I went to San Diego Comic-Con. I saw 1 group of people in cosplay for Rick and Morty. 1 group of people. And then the next, well, we'll get to it. Obviously, that's not the case anymore. Well, it is the case in 2024, but not 2023. So I was supposed to do 5 issues. And their plan was that every 5 issues of the comic, they'd bring in a new cartoonist. And so it would be like this rotating, more like an anthology thing. But they liked what I did so much, they were like, do 5 more. So I did 5 more, and they said, just let him do it until he doesn't want to do it anymore. All right, well, I loved it, so I did it for another 4 years. So, but no one was buying this. I went to a show in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is exactly what it sounds like. Anyone from Murfreesboro, Tennessee?
Tumbleweeds.
First of all, take a moment to appreciate that. Have gratitude. There's open carry in Tennessee, so there's people with backpacks with just handguns hanging out of them as they walk by you. The guy, let's say I have like 5 or 6, I could probably do the math, but let's say I had several, maybe one trade, right? I had several out. I don't think there's a trade yet, so it's early. And the guy across from me is selling swords, posters, and it's like, this is like, what, 2018, he's selling like Pulp Fiction and the Kramer from Seinfeld poster. And his claim to fame is that he was a background zombie. He was also selling things, so his claim to fame, he was a zombie and he was a background zombie, and he had 8x10s, and he's like back here. You know what I mean? And he was doing great business, guys, and no one bought, like I'm in the daylight room of like a Motel 6 trying to sell Rick and Morty, and no one's buying it. And I'm like, I don't get it, the show's so good. Like, I remember texting my wife, and I was like, I may have made a mistake. I may have attached my name to a dog, which will reflect on me professionally, right? And I was like, the show's really good. The next show I did a month later was Lexington, Kentucky. So this, I can tell you exactly when this is. It's the week that they put season 1 and 2 on Hulu. It's the moment they put season 1 and season 2 on Hulu. I went to Lexington, and these shows have like an hour VIP section, right? Like you guys know how shows work. I sold everything I had in an hour, that preview hour. I had nothing for when the show opened or the next 3 days. That's how popular it was from when they put it on Hulu. Because then everyone could watch all 2 seasons for nothing. You know what I mean, so to speak. I don't know what your question was. And listen, and then I had kids. And to do that, you have to sex with hold on, this is the interesting part. For that to happen, you have to have a woman. What's that?
This connects to one.
Okay, and next one's about my children.
About Rick's. He seems very passionate about condom use.
Is he? Is that a bit?
That's in the comics. You wrote it.
Oh, well, that's because he doesn't like the idea of procreating. That's fair. And especially, listen, does he say to Jerry mostly? Because he's correct.
No, to Morty.
That's correct also.
Yes.
Morty's just little Jerry. Like, he doesn't need to have children either, so that's funny. I don't know if that was on purpose.
Well, it made me...
My sub-theme of just desperately making sure Morty never procreates, I think is good.
Write that down.
Yeah, he never should.
But actually, my first question was going to be that, but I got sidetracked myself.
Oh, sorry.
Was about, no, not by you, by myself. Titanic's trading card set. Did you know that was a real thing? Before you put it into
I did work at a baseball card shop. I think I did. I think I knew that.
Were there chase cards for that?
I don't think so.
No,
but they would. Listen, this is a different panel too. Are you kidding? The way old sets were, they would have kind of chase cards, but they weren't like they are now. Like if you bought like a box, you would get 6 of whatever that chase card was.
Oh,
like,
okay.
They were just, you didn't get them every pack. You know what I mean?
All right. Well,
times were different then.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Anybody, if you do have questions, please just raise your hand. I'll call on you. You can ask. Are you an expert on Rick and Morty?
Not anymore. So my last issue came out, issue 60, which was the final issue of the main series, came out March 2020, which was the month of the lockdown for COVID. That issue sold terribly, surprising no one. So it's been 4 years since I wrote Rick and Morty, and I didn't care for the last season, so...
Oh no.
Guys, the last season was bad, you all agree with me. Yeah, see.
But would you come back to write it?
So you know what's interesting? I spent 5 years of my life with these characters, who I love. And I'm extremely proud of those, 48, you said 48 issues?
48, yeah. I read them all. Oh my god.
They're pretty good, right?
They are.
It's like there were more episodes of the show, but on paper.
Yeah. I did all the voices in my head.
Yeah. I wrote them pretty good. So I've always kind of been like, I love that time, but I haven't sought it out. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So Oni, who had the rights to publish the US version, just got sort of a new editorial takeover. And let's do some announcements, guys. Just like San Diego Comic Con. Where's the paparazzi? They're about to lose their minds. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Kickstarter, but the Kickstarter right now loves to do box sets of things that are familiar, like let's say G.I. Joe box sets, right? Did you guys see the G.I. Joe box set? And there's another one, another big one I can't think of right now because it wasn't mine. So Oni's going to do a Kickstarter, I think the end of this year or early next year, which is a box set of the first 100 issues. As I said, there's only 60 issues in that series, so I don't know what the next 40 are, and I'm writing one more issue. They asked me to come back and write one more issue. It will only be printed for that box set, which is a main trick to make you guys buy the box set. So I'm doing one more. I'll tell you the thing. The reason why I never went back is so we did 12 volumes, graphic novels of Rick and Morty, and what happened is they would successfully, each one would sell less because people thought they needed number one. It's like it's Rick and Morty. You can jump on at any point. We made it. Who touched my microphone just now? That was weird. All right. We made it like the show where for the most part you can jump in at any point. Like that's kind of the great thing about the show is you can be like, here's episode 4 of season 2. Here's episode set. Here's Pickle Rick episode, right? Here's Meeseeks episode, and you didn't need to watch everything in front. So I made the comic the same way, whereas you should be able to pick up any single book and go, I know what's happening based on the book, right? And if I ever did reference something before, which I almost never did, I had Mr. Creepy Butthole do it. Mr. Creepy Butthole will jump in and be like, oh, you guys should read issue 4 where Rick grew 3 dongs, or whatever. So after the main series stopped, they only did miniseries, and there'd be 4-issue themed miniseries. Like Rick and Morty go to the mall. It's like 4 issues of them at the mall. And like I don't like that. One, I think they're episodic. The great thing about Rick and Morty is that it's episodic. So doing 4 issues on the same theme, I don't like that. I don't think how the show exists. It's like you're doing something else.
I also liked how you always made stuff come back around.
Some of it. Some things come back around, but I always want to make sure you could jump in. So like, I also, the other thing, gosh, talking about things makes you feel like a real douchebag sometimes, but I never wanted to step on the show's toes. So like, I would have loved to have done, here's my like evil Morty origin, because I think I have a good idea, or here's where the Meeseeks live when you don't see them. I never did it, because I didn't want to do anything that when the show came out, you go, oh, the comic's not that. The comic is clearly, like, we negated an entire run, right? So if I gave, like, Rick, like, a gold arm for, oh, he's got a question.
Yeah. Well,
I was in the middle of talking, but I want to hear it.
No, could you complete that thought, because it ties into, my question will tie into, like, what you're talking about.
I forgot what my thought was. Is that a Venture Brothers shirt? We like that. Yeah, that's a good one. Here's I know what I started. It's like I'm old, and I love Star Wars. I had all the figures, right? We saw the 3 movies. There was only 3 movies then. And like Marvel was putting out a comic, and I bought the comic because I loved Star Wars. And then at one point a Green Rabbit showed up, and the Green Rabbit's not in fucking Star Wars. And you realize at this point that this comic also is no longer Star Wars, right? And so I quit. And not that I didn't like Star Wars anymore because Marvel ruined it for me. And so when I started to do this, like a lot of people when they do comic creators, when they do a licensed book, they want to be like, this is Kyle's name of property. Give me a property.
Star Wars. There you go.
Do you guys know about like mental powers? Yeah, so I don't want to be like Kyle starts the Star Wars, right? Like I want it to be the thing. So when I did Rick and Morty, it's like I want it to be the thing. And the show creators who I dealt with, one whose name we will not say, was always like, it doesn't matter what happens in the comic, it's a multiverse. So if I did whatever I wanted, they wouldn't care.
And that was my question. How much did you like communicate with Dan Harmon and that other guy?
That whose name we will not say. So Dan Harmon had nothing, he's above the fray, he had nothing to do with this comic. If you're like, hey Dan, have you read any of the comic? He'd be like, I don't know what comic you're talking about. And you're like, the Rick and Morty, and he's like, I haven't seen it. The other person whose name we will not say, ostensibly approved every issue. But I can tell you for a fact, and I'm proud of this, even though we won't say that person's name, but they said, ha, it's funny. That's what it said every time, which was just, I did the job every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to please that guy, and this is, at the time, was very much his baby, like, that's what you want. You want the creator. When I did Invader Zim, Jonan Vasquez did not like my issue. Like, I did though, but he didn't like it. You know what I mean? That's why I only did 1. But they liked what I did. So I was supposed to do 5, I did 48. And I only stopped because it stopped. Right?
Right.
So my thing always has been, and even now as you know, I'm doing Peacemaker, and I'm doing Thanos, and I'm doing the Pet Avengers, and I'm doing Lobo. It's that same thing where I very much want it to be the story that I want to read, but I want it also to be the story that if you love Lobo, if you like Peacemaker, that it's that thing. So Peacemaker was tough because like that version is James Gunn's version, right? We're tangenting away from Rick and Morty for a second. Like that is his baby, and so comics doesn't understand why people like things. Like publishers don't understand. So when we were like, hey, you want to do Peacemaker? I was like, yeah, I like that show a lot. And they're like, what do you think we should do? And I'm like, that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, as close to that as we're legally allowed. And I feel that way about all of it. Like, I want it to be the thing. I like the thing. I want it to be the thing. I want there to be more of the thing. And I'm sure you just read all of them. I barely remember my issues. They're so long
I
ago.
barely
Yeah.
remember them even though I read them.
Yeah, well, they're very memorable. They're good though.
No, they are.
Maybe not memorable, but they're super good.
That's why I take notes. I have
Okay,
a very
alright.
bad memory.
It's 5 years ago.
Yep.
That is my
30
thing. Is
years
always,
ago was my
it
problem.
always upsets me. And there's exceptions to that. Evan Dorkin did a Bill and Ted series, which is not the movie, but somehow it is. But it's different and it's great. That's a rare. It's very rare. And you know, the same way I hated when the comics I love get turned into a movie, and it's like they didn't use any of that. It's like, you know, that worked, right? Like we like that.
There's a reason why, like.
Yeah, there's a reason why we like Hercules or whatever. Like you don't need to give him like I don't know, like a donkey friend. Hey, like wait though, write that down. Hercules donkey friend. We'll use it. I might use that. All right, but you get what I'm saying. So it's very important to me that the show is always the thing, and even though they're like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's a multiverse, so it doesn't matter. But I'm like, it does though. It does to the reader, I think. And I took it way too seriously. I tell people, I was like the manager, that assistant manager that everyone has, like, this place would burn down without me. You know, like without me, this place is, but I don't think other people took it as seriously as I did to make sure people had that Rick and Morty experience in 18 pages.
Did anybody ever come up to you with like strange fan theories and stuff and be like, hey man, this?
No, not a lot, but I would have people come up and give me their theory on something that was incorrect, and I'd go, oh yeah, that's not true at all. And then they would argue with me, and I was like, not only do I actually know the answer to this, I could make it definitively the answer to this, right? Not very often though. I'll tell you, like, who said Szechuan? Someone said Szechuan. Did you say Szechuan sauce? People are like, oh, this, man, at the peak of Rick and Morty, which would have probably been 2019 before, I did 36 shows that year. And I did probably 28 the year before. Like every 2 weeks I'm gone, right? I never met anyone like that. I never met, it's just a bunch of people who like Rick and Morty are like weed. Like that's the two fans. It's just, people like it, but there's a vocal minority. And all that shit was very much a vocal minority. Also, that sauce isn't good, guys. They would have kept selling it. They never would stop selling it if it was good. You can get Polynesian sauce at Chick-fil-A. There's a reason why you can still get that. It's good. Yeah. Hey, a Polynesian boy? A Polynesian boy? All right, that's my guy over there.
I don't know this place. What is it?
Chick-fil-A?
Oh,
It's like we don't talk about it.
No.
We don't talk about it.
Sorry.
We don't talk about it. Nobody likes it.
Well, since we got onto Peacemaker, did you know about the Red Bee before you used him as a character?
I mean, the Red Bee is a super minor character, but
You-
hold on, let's pause, because you got to be very careful here. How many people are here because they love Rick and Morty? And we're not talking about Peacemaker.
Oh, no, Peacemaker? You guys saw Peacemaker?
From Fortnite? Peacemaker's in Fortnite? Oh, the Rick and Morty. Yeah, no, I have those. I like, boy, I gotta get that skin. Can I tell you? Listen, these guys cause a problem. I'm a Fortnite boy. I played Fortnite Saturday with some of the comic pros. I'll tell you later who they are. I'll give out gamer tags. I'm just kidding. I won't. The space snake. Like one of the items you can have is the space snake, which is one of my favorite. And I'm like, it's all I want. Like I had to get all the others. I'm like, I really just want that. But they have Morty and the dog like robot thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
the
yeah.
robot. But his little legs swing like spaghetti when you run. It's the best. Anyway.
So attention to detail right there.
Yeah, his little legs swing like they're dead. They're not. I don't know why they do that.
Were you told not to use Justin Bieber's name?
What is his name?
Buster Jeebins.
Buster Jeebins.
That was a hilarious.
Which one is that? Is that when he goes? Is it when he becomes Super Basketball Man? What's Buster Jeebins? Guys, I wrote 48 issues, and they're each
Write down
different.
when it was from.
But I'm not putting Jester Beavens. I'm not putting a celebrity name in my Rick and Morty comic. I'm going to get in trouble. No, you get in trouble.
He even was a pop star and everything, and from Canada, I think.
He's evil. He's like an evil alien or something.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's a good one. That's a good idea.
Speaking of when...
There's more. Summer's obsessed with him, I think, because he's a pop star.
Yeah.
And then you find out, as you do in any Rick and Morty, that it's like Yeah, it's twisted, but he's also like an alien. Oh, no. She goes to prom with him, and it turns out he's full of alien spiders. Yeah, the alien. How could I forget the time that Justin Bieber was full of alien spiders in my Rick and Morty comic? That's a good bit, guys.
Nightmare Fuel.
Someone should do it.
I think I did. What number was that? I don't know. They're all good. I forgot about Buster Stevens. I'm gonna tell you, I've forgotten so much stuff. And if we did this panel like 4 years ago, like I knew everything. Like, there's something for me when I'm in it, like I'm in it. And because I'm in it, I can make choices. I see everything, right? But the moment it stops, it's gone. My daughter is 16, my oldest daughter is 16. I assume when she leaves at 18, I'm gonna be like, she's gonna come home for dinner, I'm like, who the fuck is this? They're like, that's your daughter? And I'm like, no, she's still here, she's right here. My oldest daughter got, hey, let's tangent, guys. My oldest daughter, I have a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old. My oldest daughter got all the worst traits with me and my wife. And my youngest got all the best traits. And I told my daughter, I was like, oh, you're like Danny DeVito in Twins.
Oh my God.
My daughter doesn't know what Twins is, so all she heard is me going, oh yeah, you're just like Danny DeVito. And she's telling her friends, she's like, my dad thinks I'm like Danny DeVito. I'm like, no, in Twins. He got all the bad stuff, he don't got the good stuff.
You love his work.
We love it. And also I was like, you know what? National treasure. That's not even an insult.
Every day.
We all wish we were Danny DeVito,
Oh,
but
yeah.
better looking.
This penguin is killer.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Jester Beavens, did you use his real name? I did. Here's a good story. This is a Rick and Morty story, which I'm gonna do. We'll do these questions later. We'll do the ones actually about me later.
Your stuff's a lot better.
Because I like talking about me.
Yes.
So, one of the first things I did was I thought to make the comic be the thing, I did an interdimensional cable, which is like an anthology. I was like, I'm gonna do an anthology of a bunch of silly little things, and won't that be funny? It is funny. And why wasn't the comic doing that anyway? It's like, you know what I mean? They do an anthology issue every now and then. So, I did all the things, and one of the things I did is my friend at the time, Andy Hirsch, was drawing the Garfield comic. So he would say he's the third most famous Jim Davis, right? He drew perfect Garfield. So I had him draw a Gazorp comic.
Yeah.
Because we love Gazorp. Are you familiar? It's Garfield, he's got little hands, he's from Gazorp. So we did a Gazorp, it's very funny. It came out, there it is, interdimensional cable. I think it has pit bulls and like ladies dancing on the cover, it's a great cover. And then they put it in the trade, volume 6, whatever it is, right? Here it is, Gazorp. And then like, all right, we're doing the hardcovers, and they go, we're not gonna use Gazorp. We need you to draw a whole new thing. And I'm like, why? Because they're worried about getting sued by Jim Davis for something that exists in the cartoon, has already been printed twice. Like, insane. The sort of like legal journey that the comic book went through. So the comic, I'm just gonna talk, you guys are okay with that, right?
Yeah.
So the comic isn't Adult Swim. First episode where they leave jokes on the floor. Which means if you watch any of the other ones, at no point do you go, oh, why didn't they? You never do it. But this guy walks into a psychiatrist's office, this alcoholic who's a pickle, and talks shit to a psychiatrist who just eats it and doesn't go, you have drank yourself into a literal vegetable. Like
You're in a real pickle now.
yeah, like you see what you've done to yourself is both a metaphor for your life and for like how much you hate yourself, and you're trying to come after me. The fact that she didn't do that bothers me forever. It bothers me forever. That's such a failure. If you watch every episode before that, it's perfect. And then this one, you're like, why did she just eat that? He's talking to her about mental health stuff. To her, it's like she's the expert here. Anyway, that's why I don't like it. I like it, and also, guess how many pickle works I've drawn? 8 billion, that's correct. Also, he's a penis. Like, let's get sorry. It is true. Also, why would you say that to him?
You now have a kid in the room.
I know, I have to be careful. He seems mature for his age. It seems like he's heard some stuff.
Do you have a...
Hold on.
Oh, more.
It's kind of a two-parter. First being, is there a story beat or a joke that you wanted to put in but couldn't because of like rules or laws? And the second part being, is there one that you were surprised you got through?
So the answer is one. They never stopped me on anything, but I was like, it's not Justin Bieber, it's Buster Stevens or whatever. I'll tell you the thing that I wanted so badly, and I don't know I don't know why I wanted it so badly. But I was like, they will not let me do this. But I wrote it anyway. And it's one of my early issues where they make a joke about the Golden Girls' buttholes. And then the cartoonist drew the Golden Girls, which is what I wanted so badly. So there's one panel that's the 4 Golden Girls drawn in the Rick and Morty style. And I think that was still the first artist. The first artist was a failed animator. So they were very on sheet or whatever they call it. This would be what it would look like, right? And then later we kind of got loosey-goosey with it. Mark Ellerby was just so good. But he was still, you can tell it's Rick and Morty, but it's not. The first lady is like, this is what it would look like on the cartoon. So yeah, I got them to draw the Golden Girls and I talked about their buttholes. That's the answer to that. I don't think there's anything that I know like one time, like I think I had like an angry pimp. And they're like, kind of disrespectful to sex workers. And I was like, I guess so. I think there are pimps though. Like, but the thing is, like, I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, I still did the bit. You know what I mean? I just like, now they're not a pimp. Now they're just a mean guy with a dashing hat. But I think that was the only one where I wrote something and they were like, maybe don't do that. But I had a thing with, the editor was so great. They never gave me notes. Wow. He who we shall not name never gave me notes. So if they ever said anything, I just did it because like they've earned it. They let me do like 10 issues of whatever ridiculous awfulness I wanted to do.
Any more?
I answered both questions. Golden Girls buttholes. Is there a song? You better believe it.
Can you sing it?
I don't remember it. It's definitely thank you for being a friend, but I don't remember. I don't know why they were talking about their buttholes either, but they were.
Speaking of songs, in the Morty one where he becomes all large and plays basketball and all that, there was supposed to be a rap song included. Do you?
What?
Yeah, it said up at the top of the page, it said, insert rap song, blah, 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 here that we were going to get whatever.
Oh, some rights to?
Yeah.
But we couldn't get the rights to? I don't remember. 2 Chainz? I don't know. I'd have to see it. I bet it would all come back to me in the...
Are you a big hip-hop
No.
kind of person? No?
I wish, you know what, that's so funny, because that's issue 5. That was one of my first issues.
Yeah.
At the time, it would have been my last issue. I wish I could remember it. I bet you if I read it, I could tell you what it was. Because a lot of things...
He's got it, right?
No, because a lot of the things are like, it's clearly referencing something else in some way, which is Rick and Morty, you know what I mean? It loves to reference other things. But they could use the song, and I can't use the song. Oh, now you send me down a thing. I don't know, I don't remember. But I guarantee you if I saw, I don't guarantee you. No, sir. But I bet I'd be like, oh yeah, it's this. I bet I'd remember.
Are any of you going to be offended if we talk about his other works?
Do we have time?
We have like 5 minutes, right?
No, you're good. Keep
Oh,
going.
we're done?
No, you're good. Keep going.
It's 2:42.
Oh, we got 3 minutes.
Okay, that's good,
All right,
because the
so-
pee is still in me.
Man's got to go to the bathroom.
Mhm.
All right, Sex Castle. The idea, 80s action
The best 80s action movie ever made.
ever.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
Thank you.
First, are you going to do a sequel to it?
No.
Because it's left on a cliffhanger like
No,
all
it's
your
not.
work.
It's fine.
It's-
Everyone's happy at the end.
Well, yeah, everybody's happy, but
Everyone's dead, everyone's happy. That's the way we leave them. No, I would. There's very few things that I'd go back
Is
to.
he Snake Plissken?
No, he's everyone. You try to cast people. I based him on the pro wrestler Edge, who I thought would be a good action star, but then he was in an action movie, and I was wrong, guys. I was straight up wrong. So I use him, but a lot of people like, is a Kurt Russell, like, sure. Like, but it's everyone. Like, I mean, the book started very much because I was watching Roadhouse, the second greatest action movie of all time.
Yes.
And I was like, why aren't there more movies like Roadhouse? By the way, there's a movie called Malone with Burt Reynolds. That is more Roadhouse. And so I started, if you see it, it's like, I wanted more Roadhouse. And then I was like, no, it should just be the best 80s movie ever made. And it sort of devolves into that. So that was the premise. You know, he's fine. At the end, he's going to get mental health.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's okay.
What about the kid, though?
I think children bounce back. This guy heard me say the P word.
They're
He's
like
fine.
rubber included. Does anybody have any more questions before we let Kyle go to the bathroom?
Oh, you have to go to the bathroom too?
You guys are gonna go. It's
You want
Ricky.
to? I go number 1, sir. If that's the question, it's number 1. It's only number 1.
All right, thank you, Kyle, for being here. I'm gonna let you go to the bathroom.
Oh, thank you.
If you have anything else, well, are you pushing anything new?
Oh, I have stuff I'm at L4. I'm in a book called Barflight right now with Patton Oswalt. Oh, we didn't talk about Patton, guys. That's the next panel. I'm sorry. He's great.
He knows Patton Oswalt.
We love Patton. He was a rat cartoon. We did a book called Barflight. It's me. His name just on it. He didn't do anything. I have a Lobo coming out next week. I did Peacemaker.
Yeah,
I have stuff on my
Tries Hard.
table. I'm L4. No Rick and Morty. I don't have any Rick and Morty.
Peacemaker Tries Hard is really funny. Oh, I do have one gripe with it.
No, you don't.
My dog had to tell me this. My dog got really upset because he's a Frenchie, and Bruce Wayne there was
Yeah.
able to lick himself. Frenchies cannot do
I
that.
didn't draw it.
I'm just telling you,
if you have
he
a
was
Frenchie,
staring at me while I was reading.
Here's the thing with Peacemaker. They wouldn't let me. You guys see Peacemaker, the cartoon? Or the show's super great. The cartoon.
I saw the show.
The show's great. He has a bird friend named Eagly. They're like, you can't use Eagly. I'm like, that's fine. So I was like, can we use Ace the Bat Hound? And they're like, no, Batman wouldn't let Ace the Bat Hound ever get in trouble. I'm like, go buy an issue of Batman right now and tell me where Ace the Bat Hound is. That guy's a terrible pet owner. Terrible pet owner. So we made up a new friend for him to love, and it's a little black Frenchie, and it looks like he has like a tuxedo on from his white stripes. And Peacemaker, who as we all know is brilliant, goes, oh, look at the fancy little man with his little tuxedo. I'm going to name him Bruce Wayne. So in the canon of DC Universe now, there are two Bruce Waynes.
There is, yes.
There's the human one who comes in a million different versions, and then there's mine, who's a little dog friend. If you have Frenchies, any Frenchie people here? Because I found they're everywhere. Okay, Frenchies they honk. You know what I'm talking about? Can you do it? Can you do it?
Oh, no.
All right, I tried, guys. So when we first made those, it said honk, honk, honk. And if you don't know French, which none of you know, if you don't know Frenchies make this honking noise, I put a non sequitur in this comic. Yeah, I put this non sequitur, so we changed it anyway. I didn't draw that picture. I didn't say like. Do you think I wrote he's licking himself? The dog is licking himself. What kind of psychopath do you think I am?
You're the writer. I figured somehow.
No, that's an artist decision. An artist is like, wouldn't it be funny?
All right, everybody clap now.
Okay. Guys, I hope I scratched the Rick and Morty itch. I hope I said clever and fun things. Every comic from 15 to 60 is better than last season. I say that objectively. I think next season will be good. It has to be.
Hey, so